Hello and welcome back to Overseas Auto Reviews. Today I'm back at Dwayne's Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram to review this battleship on wheels. Please excuse my first boast joke of the day. This is a 2022 Dodge Challenger RT Plus. It is a phenomenal vehicle for the price you're getting, unless you want a Scat Pack wide body that's used. I'm kidding, kind of. But without further ado, let's break this vehicle down and complete a review. If you could please subscribe, that'd be a great help as well. Up front, we have this very wide and masculine look on the Challenger, and it's also very reminiscent of the original Dodge Charger from the 60s. That is from this square but also somewhat rounded interior grille piece, which is 100% functional, as well as the bottom one. You have the classic Challenger lettering as well as the classic RT badge. Now, one thing that is also very important to note about the Challengers is that there are two daytime running lights, and inside the inner one there is actually a pass-through to let air into the engine bay. Now, if you did have a Scat Pack or a Hellcat, the one on the driver's side will be unblocked to let air through. Excuse what I said there. Actually, here's a Scat Pack wide body Challenger, and when I come around, it's also been blocked off, which means that only the Hellcats and the Hellcat Jailbreak or the Red Eye are the ones that have it unblocked. But since this is an RT, you don't really need that much air, and Dodge has actually blocked it off. Now there's a solution to this. If you open the engine compartment, take off a plastic flap, you can actually pull out these little cup things that are blocking the air, and that'll actually allow your vehicle to breathe a little bit better if you are planning on modifying it. Another modification that Dodge owners think they have is the plastic banana guards. These are so that when the drivers for delivery are loading the vehicle onto and off of the truck, the splitter does not scratch. As you can see, is relatively large as well. You are supposed to take these off at delivery. Please, Dodge owners, do it. Now, this vehicle does not have the optional technology group, which means that the center cruise control module is not apparent. I honestly think it looks a little bit more flush this way. The exterior paint color on this vehicle is indigo blue. Yes, the G in the Go is capitalized, and it's a good name. Dodge has always killed it with their colors, especially Hellraisin. Let's get into this engine compartment. Underneath the hood, you will find the very famous 5.7 liter naturally aspirated Hemi V8 motor. This pumps out 375 horsepower and 410 pound-feet of torque. That is 5 more horsepower and around 15 more pound-feet of torque than the Charger RT, which I previously reviewed. Now, this is also mated to an 8-speed automatic ZF transmission found in many European vehicles. This is also shiftable with paddle shifters and allows you to redline as well. And this is a great transmission, rear-wheel drive only in the Charger. It gets you to 60 in around 4.8 seconds. Now, when I do say that the competition for this vehicle is the Mustang GT and the Camaro SS, I'm talking about the price range. And in terms of the price range, this falls short because the Mustang GT has a 5-liter naturally aspirated V8, and it pumps out around 465 to 485 horsepower depending on what year and what trim you have. The Camaro SS also has a 6.2-liter naturally aspirated V8, and that pumps out around 420 horsepower, meaning that for the price bracket, this is less than what the competition is. And in terms of the competition, I would get a Mustang GT with a 10-speed automatic transmission. Keep in mind that you can option this with a base 6-speed manual transmission. The clutch in that one isn't too stuff, and I think that is a good place to start if you're trying to get into a manual transmission vehicle with a good amount of power. The indigo blue paint color looks a lot better in the light, as you can see, a lot more depth and saturation in the blue. Now, over here we have the 20 by 8 inch dark noise wheels, what Dodge likes to call them, and I think these look really good. These are included in the black top package, which means that all of the badges on the exterior and the wheels have been painted either matte or gloss black. Now, I personally think that these wheels suit the car the best in the RT trim. Alongside that, the Hellcat, in my opinion, has the best wheels, the Devil's Rim with the multi-spokes, and those look very, very aggressive, and it suits the car very nicely as well. But aside from that, you also have relatively large brakes, and these stop really, really well. These are really responsive and really predictive brakes. You're not too worried about stopping your 4,000-pound coupe on a dime. Now these tires, Eagle RSs, not the stickiest like Pirelli Scorpions or BF Goodrich's, but they do the job pretty well for a RT. The negative offset at the rear is a lot better than I was expecting, especially in comparison to the Charger. The Charger has the same wheels and it doesn't pop out as much, which means that the uniform flowing of the vehicle, as you could say, is a lot better on the Challenger than it is on the Charger. Excuse me if I keep messing up Charger and Challenger. I reviewed these in the same day. Now the Dodge Challenger in the rear is really large and really bulbous, and I think that flows in with the overall shape and weight of the vehicle, like most boats. Now you do have this really large spoiler. I like the one on the Charger better. I think it flows better with the body, but this spoiler has the rear view camera integrated into it. You also have the black Dodge lettering, and it doesn't really say RT anywhere on the rear, so the only way you'd be able to tell is from the noise that comes out of the active exhaust or from the Hemi badges on the side. You also have your trunk release button over here, your LED square tail lights, and your dual exhaust tips at the bottom, which sound really, really good. Now let's carry on with the trunk test, if I can manage to fit myself in here. The distance between the outside and the inner trunk line is really large. So it's a big squeeze, but getting in, my body has a lot more clearance than it did with the Charger. Now I do have less leg room than I did in the Charger, but in comparison to the Mustang, I couldn't even get into the Mustang, and I haven't reviewed a Camaro yet. So if you're from a Chevy dealership, please let me know. I want to get my hands on a ZL1. But overall, not a bad trunk. It's lined very nicely. There are goodies underneath this trunk line, so I'll show you those. There's also the emergency trunk release for if you get kidnapped. Looking underneath this trunk compartment, again, there should be a spare there. And then besides that, you have the tire inflation kit and the battery itself. If you're going to modify it, please do detach this from the vehicle. One thing I did not like as much is that the trunk requires a lot of force to put up. The greatest feature about the Challenger itself is remote start. Lock the vehicle, press twice. Just like its brother, the Charger, the Challenger gets 16 in the city and 25 on the highway. Not bad for a brick boat on wheels. Say hello to the good sir. What should we name him? Let me know in the comments below. Time to do what I've been dreading for a while. This is set to my desired sitting position. I'm going to put it into the get back into the rear position, grab the front handle and push it all the way forward. Then I'm going to climb into this rear compartment and sit like so. Now this is where the extra length for the Challenger itself comes into play, because I have better knee room than I did in the Mustang. The Mustang was rather atrocious, and even though it did have less trunk space, you get more trunk space and better knee room and foot room. I also have about an inch, I'd say, of headroom, which isn't too bad. The good thing is, with the sunroof and all the windows open, I do not feel claustrophobic, which is the main concern. Now this vehicle does have these beautiful Napa leather seats with the Alcantara in the center. That is part of the RT Plus package. You also get a better headliner, which I also like. There's also rear lights over here which do illuminate once you press the button for them, and I think that is a very nice and generous feature from Dodge. Now in the driver's seat on the Challenger, this is more of a driver-oriented vehicle, hence the asymmetrical design facing the driver. This is also really similar to the Charger in the sense that you have all the same buttons over here: tuning, volume, climate control, hazards, mute, sport mode, your additional custom mode, your parking sensors off, and your traction control off button as well. If you're in a Scat Pack or higher, please leave the traction control button on. You don't want to humiliate yourself on the side of the road when you smack it into the curb of a sidewalk at an intersection. Now you also have the 8.4 or 8.7 inch digital display. This does function really nicely. You also have the classic gauge cluster in the Challenger, which I think looks really, really nice. It tops out at 160. I believe the vehicle itself is limited to 155 miles an hour. Additionally, from that you have the sunroof, which is relatively generous in terms of coupe. You also have the terrible blind spot on this vehicle. A lot of people say that the Camaro is bad. I'd say this is not as bad since I have the little window right behind the main mirror, but in terms of blind spot monitoring, I'd probably have to lean forward and then look back a considerable amount. Now again, this does not have the technology package, therefore you have blank switches on the steering wheel. That is where the cruise control module would have been, the additional cruise control radar detection, obviously, because you do have standard cruise control. You also have the shifter for the 8-speed ZF transmission. You throw it into the M mode, slap it to the left, and you can control it with either the paddles or push it forward to downshift or push it back to upshift. Let's turn the vehicle on. The active exhaust roars to life. Same issue with the Charger is that it drones at when the vehicle is parked or at low speeds. I also have the fan, which works really nicely. You also have the main Dodge climate controls and the infotainment system. Again, really nice. I like the fact that with the RT Plus you get heated and vented seats along with a heated steering wheel. The passenger also gets heated and vented seats. There's also an automatic mirror dimmer as well built in. You have your performance control where you can change all of your other settings and initiate launch control as well. The vehicle does 0 to 60 in 4.8, which really isn't too bad in comparison to the Mustang, which does it in 4.2, and the Camaro SS, I believe, is 3.6 seconds. Overall, just a really simple and really easy to use infotainment system. This one does not have Harman Kardon. It comes with Alpine, which is signature to the Charger. The signature to the Challenger over the Charger, because the Charger gets Harman Kardon. Aside from that, let's carry on and get on with the drive, and I'll tell you my final opinions at the very end. Here we are in the driving portion of the video, which is the only source of complaint really for the Challenger itself. I feel that it is a bit too soft and boaty for my personal driving preference. And I think that's because it's tuned as an RT, and the fact that I've driven both a Hellcat and a Scat Pack before. At low speeds, wind noise is very minimal, as well as the bump stiffness, which is really soft, and I actually kind of like that. The only complaint at low speeds is the exhaust drone with the sport exhaust. After this light, there will be a mild acceleration. Little crackle on the upshift, I do like that, it's like a DSG transmission. Low end torque feels especially good, and that's known to be the case in the 5.7 liter Hemi V8. If you have one of these, please let me know, I want to review one. The usual on-ramp test, this will give you a pretty good idea about how well it can get up to highway speeds. For whatever reason, I feel this was a little bit tired or slacking in comparison to the Charger, which I drove quite literally 5 minutes before this. That was only half throttle, and I believe the transmission picked the wrong gear to downshift all the way to, but even then, an okay acceleration. At highway speeds, the Challenger does stiffen up, and that's a really good steering feel. The only thing I do not like at these speeds is the wind noise coming in, and that has to do with the aerodynamics. Overall, you can't really fight air and physics.
so I can't really knock it down too much, especially because American cars are known for lots of wind noise on the freeways. To me, the best competition for the Challenger RT Plus in terms of its price range seems to be the 2022 Camaro Coupe LT1 with the 10-speed automatic transmission. Again, great performance at a lower price than the Challenger RT, keeping in mind that this also has a 6.2 liter V8 and it's quicker to 60, and it also has a higher top speed. So overall, this would be the best value per dollar for what you're getting in a two-door American car at the price range. Next up would be the 2022 Ford Mustang GT Premium Fastback. This is my vehicle of choice at this segment and price range. Again, with performance, it compares to a Scat Pack, but at the price range, which is what I like to compare vehicles at, it runs right ahead. And you can see that the total estimated price is around $50,000, just like the RT Plus. And with a 5-liter V8, which sounds better in my opinion, also is more powerful and quicker to 60 as well. I don't like the paint, but I try to make it as identical spec to the RT as possible, and this is what I came up with. And I think that this is a much better buy.
And that is the complete review on the 2022 Dodge Challenger RT Plus. Now, the starting price for this vehicle is around $40,000, and with options, this one exactly right here sitting is priced at $48,000. Now the thing is, what I said earlier, is that you can get a used Scat Pack with minimal miles and a 6-speed manual transmission for $47,000. Hence, why I've parked that right over there. That is a $47,000 car with around 26,000 miles. Yeah, I guess that is pretty high, but you do get a brand new vehicle and you don't have to get a used one with this RT. You're also better on gas. If you don't like loud cars, loud as in obnoxiously loud, then this is also better for you. The thing is, you also get an extended warranty with this as opposed to a used vehicle, so that's what you want to keep in mind. Overall, I have no issues with the Challenger besides the way that it drives. I do feel it's a bit boaty at lower speeds when you are turning, and especially when you have to change lanes on the freeway. That gets a little bit sketchy sometimes with the blind spot, especially if you are in heavy traffic. But otherwise, no issues with this vehicle. Again, looks gorgeous. If you're gonna buy it, I would also take out the little caps inside the headlights to increase your airflow just a little bit. Overall, really great vehicle, and I would buy it if I did have the money. Actually, no, that's a lie, I'd get a Scat Pack wide body. But that's all for today. Thank you very much for watching. Please do consider subscribing, and remember to keep on driving.